Hello and welcome to another episode of Visceral Musings. My name is Cody Reed, aka Roller Pig, aka the C Word, and today is Wednesday. That means it is time for Season 2, Episode 7 of my little podcast called Visceral Musings. It's also a continuation of our episode from 2 weeks ago, which would be Season 2, Episode 5, and we are talking about a little movie called Deadpool 2. And if you're unfamiliar with Deadpool 2, it's a sequel to the first one. But before all that, we're going to be talking about President Trump getting shot in the ear. We're also going to be talking about my sunburn peeling, and we're even going to talk about recently I elbowed a little kid in the face at an In-N-Out burger. So you're going to want to stick around and hear about that. We're also going to take a couple questions from Instagram. And real quick, I want to throw a quick shout out to everybody who's reached out and shown their support for the show recently. It means a lot, and I'm not going to cry about it right now. But anyway, without further ado, let's get right into this episode of Visceral Musings. And welcome to another episode of Visceral Musings. Today, it is Tuesday. Currently, at this moment in time, it is Tuesday, nearly 9 o'clock. These episodes premiere on Wednesday, and Jesus Christ, it's a doozy. It's a whirlwind of things that have to come together for me to get these things right. And so, real quick, right, we're getting right into things right out the gate. So, number one that I should have fucking scribbled down. I don't know. I'm so bad about that. But I want to do a quick shout out to Charles Ellsworth, who will be a guest on this podcast, Visceral Musings. Come next Wednesday, you will be hearing me talk to my buddy Chuck. But I'm not sure when the episode will premiere, but I was recently asked to do a guest spot on the Dirtbag's Guide to Life on the Road. He asked me to be on the show, which, it triggered this involuntary, like, imposter syndrome response that I have to shit like that, where I don't feel like I'm like justified or that I've earned the right to talk about like life on the road. I don't know, because like I just have like such a hard time with that. But no, seriously, big shouts to Charles for having me on. I know it ran late. I know I took up probably most of his afternoon. I told him I ate out his entire afternoon. So I'm really excited to listen back on that one and hear some of the things that we talked about. So yeah, if you do get a chance, go over and listen to that podcast. But real quick, on a real note, I do want to just say that, like, I enjoy doing this podcast, right? Like, it's something that I look forward to doing. It's something I try to rack my brain on. I try to pull together my best ideas for this type of thing. But on another note, it would be so fucking easy to just quit. It'd be so easy to just like not do it anymore. And I've had a couple people that have reached out to me lately. Sometimes it's through like a personal DM. Sometimes it's even in person. There's been a couple people. I don't usually tell people, like my friends. I mean, I'll tell my friends. My friends usually know, because you see in like the world of like my online presence is mostly dominated by like trying to plug one thing or another, or try to like make people fucking laugh at something stupid or whatever. But I do post about the podcast a lot. But in my personal life, in my work life, I don't bombard people with like things that I'm embarrassed. I don't like to tell people that I play in a band, or that I played in a band. I don't like to tell people that I do a podcast. So like, anyway, point being, I have told people recently, and I've had people reach out to me completely unprompted, unwarranted, just to tell me, like, I put on a podcast, and not in a backhanded way at all. They're like, I actually enjoyed it. Like, it was actually good. So thank you. If you're one of those people who's listening right now, or, even if you don't, the fact that you listened to one at all and then felt the need to tell me, like, it's so validating in something that's like, it's very time consuming, and it's a passion project. Like, I do this because I want to do it. I enjoy it. So anyway, I'm done dick writing right now. So let's get right to it. First up in the notes, we got the president got shot in the ear.
Oh, bitch mama.
Oh, bitch mama is right, George. Because I've heard people are trying to debunk it. People are saying it wasn't real, that it was staged. And then, like, you can watch the fucking video of the guy. You watched the guy climb onto the fucking roof. Like, and there's people who are pointing it out. And he got really far. Like, he got all the way on to the, whatever. He got a vantage point, shot the motherfucker in the ear. He drops with the ear. And, like, you know, again, Shane Gillis, I guess his impression was a little bit off, but I mean, like, all shit aside, like, they missed. First off, they ended up killing a different. Well, that's another thing. We were, like I was saying, people said it was staged or that it was fake. I think Trump is too big of a pussy to catch a stray. And, like, I'm calling him a pussy, and I guess in, like, almost an endearing way, where it's like, I don't think that he would stage something like that if it involved him getting shot, even kind of. Like, I don't think that he would do that. And again, I don't dick ride, and I definitely don't dick ride for fucking billionaires who are, like, literal criminals. But again, like, a dude fucking, like, people died. I don't think it was, I don't know. It could be all an elaborate hoax, but I don't think that's the case, because they killed a fucking, like, a firefighter for it. But I remember I was at work, I was slammed at work, and I'm getting these, like, I was getting text messages and, like, news articles blowing up my phone, and I couldn't look at it. And then I finally fucking open it, and what is it but Donald Trump got, like, almost assassinated, almost shot in the head. And watched the video, and I'm like, fuck, man. I don't know what to make. I don't think he's like I don't think he's got the cojones to pretend to even, like, almost catch a stray. I don't know. The whole fucking thing is screwy, and I'm pretty sure that it secured his he won re-election with that one. That bullet, I think, literally had Trump's name on it, because it is, like, I think it sealed the deal. And unfortunately, I think it looks like we're looking at another 4 years of a MAGA agenda, Project 2025, all that shit. So strap in for that one. I think we're about to get fucked relentlessly like a porn star, and then get no hush money for it. So that's unfortunate. What else do I have? I don't have much to catch you guys up on. I feel like we were just doing this about a week ago. But so I got sunburnt, which is, you know, I'm a pigmented individual. I have my dad is, you know, he's a brown man, and my mom's a little white lady, so I do have some color to me. And, like, when I get out in the sun, I don't typically sunburn, but I got fucking sunburnt out in Minnesota, dude. Like, I got. What I wrote down, my sunburn peeling got me feeling like a new refrigerator. And what I meant by that is, you know, when you have a new refrigerator or a new appliance, it usually has that, like, cellophane or, like, the plastic wrap that goes over the screen, or, like, in this case, like, a refrigerator has, like, the stainless steel is covered in, like, a peel. And then you watch those videos, like, those So Satisfying videos of people where they, like, grab a corner of it and then they peel the entire fridge and it stretches all the way down. That's what happened to my fucking leg. Not even fucking kidding. The other night, I had to peel this sunburn. It was, I mean, I'm sure everybody else has gone through it, but, like, for me, I was like, exactly. I was like, whoa, B. Arthur. I had to pull the, like, and it was so fucking weird. And, like, it reminds me of that Family Guy episode when Stewie, he has, like, the tanning bed, and his skin peels off, and he pulls off a piece of himself, and he wiggles it, and he goes, "Hey, Bri, want some Stewie jerky?" That's kind of when I had some Cody jerky, and it was fucking. I didn't eat it. I want the record to show that. I did not eat it, but it definitely freaked me the fuck out, because I've never had a sunburn that made me peel, because I'm typically a brown individual. But in Minnesota, the sun does not discriminate. It will burn the fuck out of you. No matter, it doesn't matter if you're indigenous, black, white, they'll burn you out there. So next up, I just have, okay, so I'm reading off of notes here. And we'll let that. I'm not gonna shatter any illusions. I think people have heard my my notes crinkling, or I like to flip my pen in my fingers while I'm talking. Today, I do have two White Claws. You know, which means I'm not fucking around. I got 2 drinks in front of me. We're gonna bang this thing out. So I might have to take a couple seltzer water breaks. But anyway, working a shitty job, and when you have to have a job and the job sucks, it sucks so much more because like I want to do this. Like I want to do the podcast. I want to get I'm not saying that I think I deserve to get paid for doing it necessarily. That would be kind of I don't have that type of entitlement mindset to this to me. At least I try not to. But anyway, I think that having a job that I don't particularly enjoy, that I have to have because I have to have a place to live and I need to be able to fund the things that I want to do and I need to keep my car or whatever, all that boring adult shit. So like it does make it sting so much worse because like, I mean, I had to bust ass to try and like carve out time for this type of thing. And I've been just thinking about that a lot recently where I'm like, fuck man, I need to figure out and fast how to make this a more sustainable thing. But anyway, let's get you caught up. What's new with me? Well, I'm glad you asked. I elbowed a little kid in the fucking face at an In-N-Out Burger recently. The one that's nearest to my house. I'm not going to tell you where that is, but I recently went there. I was alone, and I had to use the bathroom when I got there. I went there after I got off work, and I was about to order my food, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go. I like to wash my hands. So I go in the bathroom, wash my hands, and there was me, there was a guy using the urinal, and then there was an older Mexican gentleman and his son, both of which did not speak English. And so I'm walking to the paper towel dispenser. God damn it, the paper towel dispenser's next to me. So like I wash my hands, like I pull a paper towel, dry my hands off, and then it's a crammed little bathroom, and like I said, there was me and 3 other individuals in there, and I turned around to put my my paper towel in the trash can, and I elbowed this little kid like in the eyebrow, hard as shit too. Like I definitely got him. I can still feel where his little face. I could feel the little print of his face still in my elbow when I think about it. But no, I elbowed this kid hard as shit, and I look over at him, and he covers his face, starts crying, and then walks over to his dad, and who I'm assuming was his dad. I don't know, an older gentleman that escorted him to the bathroom. And so I turn over, and I was like, I was like, oh fuck. I was like, I'm sorry. Like I cussed too, like right in this little kid's face, and I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I trying to like console the kid. I was like, are you all right, buddy? And he doesn't really speak English. And so his dad's just looking at me like he's kind of like brushing it. I was like, no, he's fine. I'm like, I don't know if he's fine. I hit him pretty hard, and he's like, no, he's okay. So then I was like, okay. And then I go to walk out the door because that's the wrong time and place to be like crouched down trying to console a crying child is in the fucking bathroom, especially if you're not related to them and you've never like they don't know who you are, and it was not a good look for me. So I was like, I should probably see myself out of here. So I get up, walk out, and then I hear the dad go like, hey, también? And I was like, oh, fuck me. So then I go and get my food and go and sit down, and then they come and sit across from me, and I was trying to eat my food, and every time I could feel this kid who now has a fucking goose egg on his eyebrow, he looked like Tom and Jerry whenever Tom gets like a lump on his head, he had one protruding from his brow. I could feel him looking at me like, why did you, a grown man, hit me? I don't know you. Why did you put your hands on me? And it was a very awkward dinner. It was a horrible time to be eating by myself. And next up, I listened to Eminem's new album, Get Fucked, Pussies. Eminem's back, and he's peace. I don't know. The whole album, like the only reason why I wrote this down is because I've been seeing these crazy claims, like people saying, like that's why I said that. Get fucked. Good luck trying to talk your way out of this one, liberal. I don't know. It was just like, I thought the album was fucking hilarious. First off, the song with Jid also, like Jid fucking rips. Is it Jid or J-I-D? I don't know. It's all caps. Could be either or. But anyway, that song in particular, that one fucks pretty hard. But the album as a whole, I thought that it was so fucking funny. Like there are some moments on the album where I genuinely like belly laughed out loud. I didn't it was the internet response to people being like he's back now that he's like saying shit. I don't know. He really does stick by all the shit that he claimed to believe in like 20 years ago, and like that's cool. I don't really give a fuck. I'm a very casual Eminem fan because like, you know, Eminem has some great shit. Like he has like his early stuff is obviously like that's his appeal. A lot of the time the shock shock appeal and like just where he kind of like proved himself as like a really clever lyricist. That's the thing. He has like these moments, especially in like the Death of Slim Shady. He has moments where he really hits his stride as like, here is why he's renowned. Like, this is why he's such a clever lyricist. And he's also really funny, but he can also get really like, he can get deep. He can get visceral, and he can make things like he's able to twist the knife in a way that like not a lot of people are. It kind of reminded me though of like Dave Chappelle, when Dave Chappelle came back, and like he really, and you know, it's similar subject matter too in the album, like compared to Chappelle's comedy. I love Dave Chappelle. I wasn't offended by anything in the album at all. Like, I would like to also point that out. I'm just not a big Eminem fan. I don't really think that I saw people saying shit like album of the decade. I'm like, you're fucking wild, bro. Like, I think RTJ 4 was better than the Death of Slim Shady, and I don't even think that was the best rap album of this decade, but I don't know. Fucking wild. That was a wild claim. But people saying, like, it's the best album he's ever done. It's like the album of the year, album of the decade. Fucking wild, hard to back claims, first off. Second off, it's just, he has this, like, this juxtaposition about him where he is, like, he can, in one, he can even be verses. He can do one where he's just like, he's on, and he has a very creative flow. He's obviously a really clever lyricist. He's really intelligent. He's intellectual. Like, and like he definitely dives deep into some of the you know, like lyrical content of the album. Talks about his creative process and also like him struggling with addiction. It's not all just like dick jokes and making fun of little people and trans. Like, he does a lot of Bruce and Caitlyn Jenner jokes. Like, and I want to point out, like, I'm distinguishing the two people as like separate entities, but like he definitely, like, he makes jokes at both of like this person's like identity. I don't know. You have to listen to the album to really get it. There are moments though that are actually funny that I genuinely laughed at. But anyway, he has the ability to do something very clever and like actually fucking good, and then he'll follow it up with the corniest shit you've ever heard. Case in point, though, especially in like some of the skits in the album, like they're kind of corny, and like I don't particularly the song "Fuel" with Jid. I really like the beginning of that song, and then the hook's fine, whatever, and then when M's verse comes in, it's like, that's where you went with it. Like, I don't know. He calls himself a raper, and because he has so many essays, and then he says something about like Biggie and Pac should be alive right now, and I was like, what are you talking about? Because the first half of the song is fucking, it's pretty goddamn good. I'm not gonna lie, like it's really good, and then he follows it up with that, and I was like, what the fuck? And to be fair though, that's not two Eminem verses where one's good and the other one's not, but like he did just like in the last couple years put out that fucking Venom song, and god damn it, that song was terrible. Anyway, Death to Slim Shady, I thought it was pretty good. It's not gonna make my top 3, but I did enjoy it. I listened to it a couple times. I thought it was funny. I don't think I'll probably revisit it again, but I definitely laughed. Maybe it's worth checking out. I don't fucking know. Maybe it's worth avoiding. It's a lot of it is just like, you know, it's played out tropes about like he some of it's really funny. I'm not gonna lie. There's some clever shit, but there's also just a lot of like shit that's like not that funny that he talks about a lot, and he kind of doubles down on it. But then it's also like the whole thing is him trying to get himself canceled, so it's like a parody of cancel culture and him like deliberately saying things that would get him canceled, and then people can take things out of context. The first song on the album, I think it's called Renaissance. That one, I was actually really impressed by that one. And he says something about, he talks about Kendrick, talks about Ye, talks about Wayne, and then he talks about like himself. And people immediately took it out of context, saying like, "Oh, he took shots at Lil Wayne, he took shots at Ye." He didn't at all. And like that's kind of like one of the things that I liked about the album is like, man, it ended up being so self-fulfilling in a way. Like, anyway, I'm done talking about Eminem. So next up, I wanted to talk about real quick before we get to the Instagram Q&A. Superman from the so Superman is coming out next year, and it's James Gunn. For those of you who are unfamiliar, James Gunn is rebooting Superman. He's the new he's the guy who's overseeing the new DCEU or DC universe. I don't know what the fuck, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, but there's a lot of people who are like purists of like Henry Cavill's performance as Superman, and there's other people who are like dead set on Christopher Reeves. Also, Christopher Reeves, go listen to what's it like, fucking Brand New Dance, the new Eminem song. I think that's an old song. But anyway, it's like an old song that didn't make the cut. Anyway, a lot of it's about Christopher Reeves. It's about like dancing till you're in a wheelchair. And anyway, so like my point being, I've seen so many of these people that were like, there's a lot of people who call for like restoring the Snyderverse. And so again, for those of you who are, anyway, the Snyderverse is like the Justice League. So it would have been like the Man of Steel and then Batman versus Superman, the Dawn of Justice, the Wonder Woman stuff with Gal Gadot. I don't know that, I mean, technically that would be the Snyderverse, right? And then Aquaman, The Flash, like that kind of stuff. People want, like, there's people who are asking to like, or not even asking, like demanding we set this straight. We bring back the Snyderverse, which is not that good. I've never been a fan. Didn't enjoy it when it was coming out. I went and watched all those movies except for like Wonder Woman 84. I haven't even seen The Flash. But people are up in arms over the it's more of like a Kingdom Come approach, but the Kingdom Come emblem that's on the new Superman's chest, like people are fucking, if you ever get a second and you're just bored, just go to James Gunn's Instagram Threads. He's one of the only dudes that I know that's like active on Threads. I don't even have the app anymore. It's a bullshit app. Twitter used to be good. Elon Musk took it over. It sucks now. There's no good alternatives. Okay, end of story. So anyway, people like if you just go on to James Gunn's Instagram, or I know he has a Threads. I don't fucking use it. Or even just like go to a fucking comicbook.com or what's that other one? Like Legacy of Nerd, or comicbook.com is a good one because they release the pictures as soon as they drop. Anything like that. And just look at the comments. IGN, go to IGN, go to GQ, whenever, or not GQ, what's the other? It doesn't fucking matter. Whenever they share like James Gunn shares first look at blank, whatever it is. It was David, what's his name? White Boy of the Month, dressed as Superman. People were like, the comments are just relentlessly fucking trolling this dude. And they're just talking about like, they'll find any reason to like the corny ass costume, stupid ass plot, stupid production, looks dumb. And like, it's so crazy because like the Man of Steel is not a good fucking movie. And I'll say, maybe that's a hot take. The Snyderverse was not good. The Dawn of Justice was bad. The Justice League, and okay, I will give him the Snyder cut of the Justice League was better and still not fucking good. It's like a fucking 5-hour production that's not good. And it's broken into episodes. You watch them, you're like, where is this going? And then it's like, you finally get to tie the whole thing together and it's like, it's going nowhere. It's just fucking dark and like washed out colors, very muted, drab, bleak, not very endearing storytelling, and like, I don't know. I think that the new Superman might actually have potential to be good, and I'm excited for it. But it's so funny to look at how upset these people get in the comment section because it's not this thing. It's like in like the Snyderverse, people are like, it's so crazy. I don't know. To get it, I don't even want to scratch this. I don't even want to scratch the surface of this one because people get like really up in arms over the. Like the Snyderverse stuff, like they're the reason why there's a like the Snyder cut was released of the Justice League, and they were calling for like David Ayer, the one who did the Suicide Squad originally, the 20 fucking whatever it is, like 16 movie. They want him to release his cut of the movie. Fucking just stupid shit that's unnecessary that no one's gonna watch. So get fucked if you want to restore the Snyderverse. I think that the James Gunn one's gonna be good. I think I'm done making hot takes. Let's take some questions from Instagram. Yay! So I posted the Instagram Q&A today. It was on my own personal Instagram account. I didn't post it on the Instagram account for Visceral Musings, but what I do have is 3 questions from the same person, and I'm going to end it on something that I honest to God, did come up with something for him. And so shouts out Ben Young, my boyfriend. I know he's listening. He's my pride and joy. So first up from the Ben Young questions, we've got, how do you stay so productive and on top of shit? Well, the thing is I don't honestly stay on top of shit at all whatsoever. Like I was saying earlier, I kind of had a half-assed thought about this that I didn't really articulate very well. But working a shitty job that I have to have makes it very hard to do this thing that I do want to do, and I do want to do it, and I have to do it because it's like something that I've committed to. And but anyway, at any rate, so what I'm trying to say is the way that I stay productive is I want to do it. So I force myself to stay productive on it. Like I make myself come up with like when I get time, I start writing the podcast because I'm like, I want to do this and I want it to be good and I want to prove to people that I can be good at it and that I can that's a lot of it is too like just trying to prove that it can be good and I want it to reach the right people who want to revisit it every Wednesday and like eventually I want it to grow into something and like honestly my goal maybe I won't share that right now, but anyway that's how I stay productive is to just like do it. And then once I get over that hump of like trying to, because I mean like, and I do fall victim to like writer's block, but I have a lot of creative avenues that I try to explore a lot of the time. So like I do sometimes write jokes still. Like I still actively do want to do, that makes sense, right? Yeah. I do want to do stand-up comedy. And so I do write jokes in my little joke book whenever the inspiration hits me on that. But I'll also like force myself to get into it if I'm overthinking the podcast or if I'm working on a song. Like I was working on a song last night. My creative process was a little bit different. And, but anyway, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but I can like, if I get burnt out or like stuck on one thing, I at least have the luxury of having another, or I just can walk away from it. And that helps me stay productive in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, because that's what if you're going for longevity and not just like mass quantity at one point in time, then like you definitely have to find ways to keep it like fresh, because I don't want to just crank out stale shit that I don't really care about. So that's how a lot of the ways that I stay productive is like, I carve out time for it. And when I do have time to do it, I try to maximize all the time that I have for it. Like today, in cases like today where, like this episode has to be out tomorrow, I haven't filmed it. I'm filming it right now. You're going to hear everything that you're hearing right now is done between the hours of, like fucking 9 p.m. and midnight. So from start to finish, I can do this, but I don't have time for it because I have not had a day. I have to work like 8 or 9 days straight. My shifts are not short shifts. Like it is kind of hard. So I'm not going to lie. And to stay on top of shit, I don't know what the fuck you mean by that. I'm glad that it comes across like I'm on top of shit, but in my personal life, I don't feel that way. Like I came to work today, went to the back, stole some paper from the copier, and then I sat down and started writing more to this episode because I had... Like, I showed up to work early. I had 15 minutes, and I was like, this 15 minutes, I'm going to use it to be productive. I'm going to work on Deadpool and Deadpool 2, and I'm going to start, like, trying to compartmentalize some of these things that I was working on. I had an idea for a sketch for, like, something else completely unrelated that I kind of started scribbling down. I wrote down a couple of other things that I thought were worth taking note. But that's just how I do things. It's my own... I'll get there. So next up, food-related memory that you hold dear. Wow, that's very cute. So one of the... I used to work at Samurai Sam's. I wish I would have... I probably should have thought of this before. I wrote the questions down. I've already seen them. You think I would have like started compiling my thoughts a little bit, but I didn't. I used to work for this teriyaki grill called Samurai Sam's. And some of the most meaningful years of my life were spent there. Like it's crazy because I feel like I wasn't a teenager when I was in high school. I feel like I was a teenager when I worked at Sam's for some reason. Like formative years I spent in this fucking kitchen every single day of my life, coming home stinking like teriyaki chicken. But it was so great because I met so many of these people that were like I dated someone who worked there, and before that we were really good friends. I was friends with Russell King. I also met there. Just like a lot of people that I met there. But in particular, there was a time when I was finally of legal drinking age, and I worked a like a catering event, because there was two separate things, which I don't think Kevin would care if I said it now, but it's Chowhound. It was Chowhound, and it was also Samurai Sam. So he had a food truck. We would drive the food truck out and do catering events. And I remember like one time just like doing this wedding with Kevin and like coming in and prepping the food. Like I did like fucking 30 stuffed chicken breasts, and it was big and it was very time consuming. And like, it was so dope because like, I remember we went there, we served the food, and it was actually fun. But I remember like, we got free beer from the open bar that they had there, and then Kevin came over, and I got to have a drink with Kevin, and like he was just this dude who would tell these, like, he still is around, I'm pretty sure, but I haven't talked to him in a little bit, but he's just this dude. He's got like infinite stories, and like so many times, like you spend when you work in a kitchen, especially like a small kitchen like that, you spend so much time one-on-one with the same people all the time. And so I got to know a lot of these people. Some of these people aren't around anymore. Some of them have passed away. And like, I got to have very meaningful conversations, and like, I guess this isn't really like a food related memory, but like I spent a lot of time bonding with Kevin, when I worked at Samurai Sam's, when I was working for him with Chowhound, whenever I, would go outside and like, the guy next door, Gene, would be having a smoke break, sit and talk to him, and he gave me some wonderful advice. And like I met at the time, some of my closest friends were also from there. My girlfriend was working there at the time, and like, I don't know, it was a really special time. Met a lot of amazing people that I still talk to this day, and I still think about that for some reason. That was like my high school for some odd reason that I can't quite put like an explanation to. Next up, any habits that you've made that you suggest just in general, but also for creative work. So anyway, that's why I kind of cut myself off on the first question. The reason being is I think that my creative process is a little bit different, because like if I think of something funny, it has to be written down. So I would say that when you have the idea, make sure that in some capacity that you're capturing it, because you won't have the same inspiration for it 20 minutes from now. So like, if you're having a good idea, pause whatever you're doing. Go start working on it, at least to get like the general bones of it laid out. Because if you don't, then at least in my experience, it's gone. Like it's one of the, sometimes it is a lightning in a bottle moment. But anyway, another thing is I write my lyrics. Like when I have an idea for a song, I have probably 900 to 1,000 voice memos in my phone that are just me mumbling out, or like kind of singing an idea for like a vocal melody, or even a vocal harmony that I might have for something. And without context, it doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't have to make sense to you because it's not your thing. It's like, it's my thing. So I'll definitely like, I even when I've written like I've written guitar parts, just like basically scatting. Like I'll sit and like
Stop the water break.
I will sit and I will just like like mouth out a that was a miss, that was a fuck up, my bad. I will sit and like kind of like even just mouth out a guitar part, like a do, and sometimes that helps, like just to remember the idea before I lose it. But I will say I will write lyrics in my notes app. So I also have probably fucking, if not 1,000, then over 1,000 notes of just like bullshit that I've scribbled down in my notes. But I've also been working on like this book of haikus that and short stories and stuff like that. I write them into my notes app, and I'll write my lyrical ideas into my notes app. Like they almost exclusively live there. But when I work on jokes, or when I work on stuff for the podcast, it has to be paper. It has to be in my notebook. It has to be handwritten, and it has to be, especially for jokes, but also for the podcast. Like I have them. Like I have thousands of notes. Like I have countless notebooks. I've got this piece of paper right here that's a completely separate thing that I can't fucking lose because it's actually important, and I almost did lose it when I was trying to start this fucking episode. I couldn't find the piece of paper anywhere, but I do have it, and like I write stuff down in ways that make sense to me, and it helps me keep it organized. And so to answer two things, that's how I stay so on top of shit, is my notebooks and my notes, because if I did not have them, I would be completely fucked. And two, find what works for you, because when I write jokes or when I write my podcast, I need to write it with a pen and paper. One, find a good habit to have. is, find the avenue that works for you, but find the best way to put it down. For me, it's my pen. I need this pen, which is it's a Papermate Inkjoy Gel 0.7. I need it, and I need the notebook, and I need to scribble these things out because I'm writing in my voice when I write in my handwriting. I don't know how else to put that, but when I'm writing pen to paper, I'm writing in the voice. The voice that you're hearing right now is what is coming out of my hand. But when I type, I'm able to be a little bit more disconnected and I can look at it more objectively. And I don't know if that makes sense. It doesn't really have to make sense. If it does make sense, fucking steal it. It's not mine. I didn't come up with it. It's not a novel idea. I'm definitely not the best out there. And it's crazy that you would even ask me for advice, Ben. You're probably infinitely more creative than I am. But anyway, those things, yeah. Capture the idea, make sure that you record it in some way, find the best way to record it, find what works for you, and then just do it until you hate it, but then you'll also still love it at the same time. All right, last question. It's not really a question. It's more of it just says, dance monkey. No, I'm just kidding. It says, improv haiku. I said earlier I was working on a book of haikus. I've been kind of taking a break on that, but improv haiku, please. Yeah, not even shitting you. This is the first thing that came out of my head. And I wasn't even going to do it. And then I thought of it. And so I scribbled this down. The improv haiku that I've got for you is, for those of you who are maybe unfamiliar, a haiku is a poem that goes in syllables of 5, 7, 5. So 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. So here is my haiku. Abstract boob painting. Mostly blobs, splatters, mostly blobs, splatters, and brush strokes. God, this is so hot. That's my abstract boob painting haiku. I'll sign it. Whoever wants this, but no, I'm going to attach it in a thing. I'm going to have to add but anyway, I also said recently I took a trip to Minnesota and I got sunburnt and I'm peeling like a new refrigerator, but I got to spend some time in the Minneapolis St. Paul MPLS. Whatever. Got to spend some time in that airport. Most of the time, just looking for a glory hole. And the reason being is our first ever continuation of an episode from 2 weeks ago, Deadpool 2, The Task at Hand. So we're going to take a quick potty break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about that glory hole I was looking for. And also, we're going to be talking about Deadpool 2. All right, take us to the potty break. Hello and welcome to another potty break. Today, genuine question. Is the intro music too long? I've been hearing this repeatedly, actually. This is not the very first time. I think the very early reviews that I got for this podcast were that the intro music was too long. And that could very well be. I don't know. I think I want a little bit more input on that. I would concede that I think it might be a little lengthy. I can cut out some of it, so maybe I'll try that on the next couple episodes. I was trying to compensate for the length of the thing, like maybe not making it feel so long if I was sprinkling in like little quips or like little like quotable moments that I thought were good from the show. But anyway, I also had somebody circle back with me on like doing stickers. So I am going to, as soon as I get the opportunity to, I'm going to have stickers ready. So keep an eye out for that. Let's get right back to this episode of Visceral Musings. After suffering a near-fatal bovine attack, a disfigured cafeteria chef, Wade Wilson, struggles to fulfill his dream of becoming Mayberry's hottest bartender while also learning to cope with his lost sense of taste. Searching to regain his spark for life as well as a flux capacitor, Wade must battle ninjas, the Yakuza, and a pack of sexually aggressive canines as he journeys around the world to discover the importance of family, friendship, and flavor, finding a new taste for adventure and earning the coveted coffee mug title of World's Best Lover. Today on Visceral Musings, we are talking about Deadpool 2. And if you're unfamiliar with what I just read, it's a fake synopsis that was posted by I believe it was the director as well as Ryan Reynolds as a plot description for Deadpool 2, which is a good reason why we're talking about this episode, not just because it's opportunistic with Deadpool and Wolverine coming out this month, but because I think that it's important. So let's get right the fuck into it. Why do I think that it's important to talk about Deadpool 2? Or more accurately, what I usually like to say is, why do you give such a shit about Deadpool 2? Well, starting with this fake synopsis, I think it's important because Deadpool 2, it does this thing that I talked about. And again, this is an extension of an episode from 2 weeks ago. So bear that in mind when I talk about certain things. Like I may need to provide more context than I actually am. So if you haven't, maybe listen to that episode and then we'll talk about Deadpool 2 in succession. Like it'll be a whole thing. We'll make a thing of it. I'll wear something nice, maybe skimpy. And then if you get me liquored up, like, for example,
Seltzer water break.
I am drinking hard seltzers. That's what this is. You're just trying to get me drunk, so I'll take my clothes off. Anyway, so one of the things that I really, really enjoy about Deadpool, especially like the video game, as well as like the comic books, and then it carries on into the movie, is foreshadowing, right? So one of the things that I enjoyed with this is there was foreshadowing that went absolutely goddamn nowhere. And I thought that that was so important because in recent years, like if you ever get the opportunity to, and like you should, look up look up a movie trailer for something like The Fifth Element, or look up a trailer for like an old movie, like even Star Wars or like Jurassic Park. Movie trailers used to fucking suck. They were not good. And then movie trailers became a spectacle. So one of the things that I really enjoyed about this, especially is those big ensemble team movies such as like the X-Men or the Avengers or the Justice League. These are big ensemble movies that are drawing people in because it's like multiple characters that are like, some of them are like mismatched, like their personalities are going to clash or whatever, and then they have to work together to solve like the big bad of the movie or whatever gets stopped by like a group of heroes. In this case, it was the X-Force. So anyway, let's start with the opening sequence into the killing montage. So with that opening scene, we're starting with Deadpool exploding himself, which is like foreshadowing because they back up from here. So Deadpool kills himself and he does it in like a pretty brutal fashion. Like it looks like he fucking dies, right? So we're not entirely sure what's going on. So it backs up, and then we're in this like crazy killing montage, which I thought it was like in a sick and twisted way. It was incredibly beautiful to watch him decapitate, gangsters. He pops out of a coffin and shoots people, and it's funny, it's goofy, it's silly, it's Deadpool. I really enjoy it. I like that it showcases again like that he's not just like a like Hot Topic core, like goofy, like I have issues. He's more of like they establish him as a mercenary, hired gun. He's brutal. He's a badass. Like he's got skill. And I like that about him. I don't like then when they water him down and they take it down to just like, oh, he's quippy and he's funny and he makes all these like fucking jokes that like incels would laugh at. I don't enjoy that aspect of Deadpool. I hate that it got so sensationalized. But anyway, so one of the reasons why I fuck with this movie is, so the original director of Deadpool was Tim Miller, and then he exited the project, which is Deadpool 2, midway through, like pre-production, where he and Ryan Reynolds cited creative differences. So he detaches himself from the project. It's just Ryan Reynolds left, and then they get the guy from John Wick to come and direct the movie. And the reason why they did it this way was because the director, Tim Miller, wanted to do a massive, like huge, big budget production to make it more of like a spectacle, like a visual spectacle. But Ryan Reynolds wanted to keep it more, like quote unquote low budget and stick true to like what it is and don't try to like fuck with the formula. Like what they said was, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Let's do this again. So in that aspect, I do think that they did nail it. But they set up the movie making you think like this is a continuation of Ryan Reynolds' love, like Morena Baccarin. Is that how you say her name? Doesn't matter. Him and Vanessa, this is going to be a continuation of Wade and Vanessa's love story. Then she fucking dies. So that pissed me off. I remember being in theaters and I was thinking like, even when that happened, I was like, I don't know if that was a good fucking choice. And then on a rewatch, I still don't know if that was a good choice because like, I like that she takes the place of what the Death character is in the comic book. So like Death is a woman that Wade Wilson has kind of like a love affair with, that like he goes back and forth with, and he dies, but he doesn't stay dead. And then he has a romantic relationship, a sexual relationship with Death. And then so in a way they kind of had Vanessa become Death. And so Vanessa is become Death. But anyway, so I liked that they did it in that way, but I wasn't really a fan of her dying. And then it was weird to get into that like fucking Celine Dion intro that they do with like very 007 inspired with like, and he does like the raining bullets on himself and stuff. Like it was hard to get into that and to really like enjoy the comedic value of it because I was still so shocked. And like even like they did it again, the like the title sequence where it shows like the people that worked on it, they're talking about like, holy fucking shit, did they really just kill her? And so it did make it a little bit more difficult for me to like settle into the movie on a first watch. The second time around, I knew what was going to happen, and even more recently when I was watching it, like I knew what to expect with it. But anyway, moving right along. So Pump the Hate Brakes, Fox and Friends. That's what it is. So the movie complicates an already complicated timeline, which again. So Vanessa's dead, and I do like the one of the things that I think is important about this movie is we shift the struggle from no longer like in the first movie he's like, I'm not going to be a hero, but then in this one it's like, hey, he might be a hero, maybe this is his destiny, maybe this is his death, which is like Vanessa, or I mean like Vanessa who is dead, who has become death from the comic books in a way. She's the one who's insisting that he doesn't have his heart in the right place. So I like that this sets him on like a soul-searching journey that's going in a different direction now. And so we're seeing this opposite, this shift in mindset for Wade. And then I enjoyed Fire Fist, and I like the scenes where, so anyway, back to that initial point real quick. That complicates this complicated timeline because he talks about, like, he's talking to Colossus. And then the X-Men shut the door. But it's the young X-Men from the allegedly, they would be from like what? Like somewhere around the 60s, the 70s, 80s. Like that era of X-Men is in present day Deadpool. They shut the door, and I was just so confused by that. Even like, I know it's like a stupid cutaway gag. It's like a Family Guy gag, but I was like, I didn't get it all the way. So, and Colossus is not young like that. And like, why is everybody else young? And then Colossus is like Colossus's age, and he's, I don't know. And he's also a recasted Colossus. Like he's not the original Colossus that you see with like Elliot Page in like the earlier X-Men movies. So I don't know. I didn't really enjoy that, even though it was like I know it was just supposed to be like a throwaway gag that you're supposed to forget about, but I kind of fixated on that a little bit. I like Dopinder a lot in this movie. He's also somebody that we see in the beginning when he runs from the guys that eventually kill Vanessa. He runs to the cab and he's sprinting down the line, and the Dopinder's back in the van, and he wants to be a hired assassin. Anyway, so getting back to where I was going, there's a lot of these there's DC and Marvel references that he does, and he just like the time traveling mutants from apocalyptic futures. So there's Deadpool. Usually Deadpool doesn't have a time travel. Sorry, I fucked that up. My bad. Cable is a time traveling mutant, but Deadpool typically has his like a teleporter in the comic books. He has a teleporter, so he does bounce from place to place a lot. And I wish that like. I think that they were able to, override some of these things that are so important to the comic books that don't necessarily translate into the movie by like, replacing those things with like these like meta references instead, because like in the comic books, sometimes you're getting two separate plots or like two things to divide your attention to. And that was like the cut between. And I like that in the movie, he breaks the fourth wall in such a way that it's like, it will get really serious. So like, anyway, getting back to where I was originally going, we get to the part where he's with Fire Fist. After the timeline's already been complicated. But anyway, so Fire Fist, I actually enjoyed him. I thought he was really funny. And I liked that it was kind of like Taserface in a way, where they poke fun at how like absurd his name is. And they're not on board with calling him Fire Fist, and they also laugh every time they call Taserface in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So I really enjoyed Wade also sticking up for him. So when he finds out that
Set water break.
He finds out that he's been abused by the another Jared Fogle type that's in they're pretty good at finding the Jared Fogle types to play like very pedophilic looking older men, like the guy in the first movie, and then it's this guy in Deadpool 2. Anyway, when he finds out that he's been abused, he stands up for him immediately. And he's like, you can always tell. And then Colossus doesn't think that's a very heroic act, but I would argue quite the opposite. I think that him sticking up for Fire Fist and shooting that fucking dude in the head, I think that was what was warranted. It was well deserved. And but anyway, so it starts this chain of events where he's going to prison, and they put those collar on the mutants that like dull their abilities, and that's where we meet Black Tom Cassidy, the one of the only African American leads in the movies, the X-Men movies at least. It was just so crazy because he's in the movie for like a second. I feel like he dies too. Jack something or other. The new Hellboy guy. The Hellboy looks fucking terrible. Also, the Crooked Man Hellboy movie. I don't know. It looks like porno acting, and it looks like a fucking fan film. I don't know. Anyway, beside the point. Him in the mutant cells. The prison wallet, and that's where he hides the shiv up his ass, and he pulls it out in the bathroom. But anyway. Those scenes are so heavy because like Wade at his core is a man dying of cancer, and his mutant abilities are what stops the cancer from coming, and it fucking sucks to watch him like rotting away from cancer. Simultaneously, we're getting the story with Cable, the backstory with Cable, where he's coming to the past to come and right the wrongs that ended up fucking up his entire his world. So anyway, the premise of this movie, I think, in the promotion aspect, from a promotional aspect, was heavily centered on the X-Men or the X-Force. So they were going to shoe in the X-Force characters. They were going to build this team, and they were going to fight the big bad, which is it's going to be Cable. And if it was so fucking. It was shocking when I was in theaters watching the X-Force come together. And I'm skipping ahead a little bit. Obviously, I don't think I need to recap the plot. I did that. I think I focused too much on like what the plot of the movie was in Deadpool, the first Deadpool episode. But instead, I'm just going to get back to geeking on certain things that I loved about it. So one of the things that I really fucking loved is they spent the entire promotional aspect of the movie like really, really pounding in like we're going to see Wade and Vanessa again. We're going to see the X-Force. There's all this foreshadowing, like this big ultimate plot with like a team up movie, and it's going to be akin to like the X-Men or the Avengers, and then they all fucking die because of a high wind advisory that they ignore, which brings me to another point of the movie, why I give a shit about this movie. Domino fucking kicks ass. Domino fucking rules. And so does Colossus. And so does like Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And so does Her Girlfriend. And so does like there's so many aspects of this movie that they got right that I really, really enjoy about it. And I'm gonna keep moving along. So the mutant prison and the portrayal of the anti-mutant activists or like the Puritans is something that I think this movie does really well. And it's also something that really, really drew me into the original X-Men, like the aspects of like prejudice. And a lot of the time, what they were dealing with was like, he says it in one of the lines in the movie is about like how this is a visual metaphor for racism. And I like that this movie also kind of, it brings back in like a different way that they talk about, the prejudice. They talk about the anti-mutant sentiment and like people that don't believe that these are humans at all, and that it's humankind, it's mankind, not mutant kind. And I like that this movie kind of tackles that subject a little bit more than the X-Men movies tend to. Which I mean, like obviously there's fucking Days of Future Past and stuff like that, but this is like it's like a street level version of that, where you're like seeing an orphanage that's being like the kids that are being abused and tortured, and then you find out the Domino is from the same place. So I really enjoyed that they did this in this movie. And anyway, this movie also has Run the Jewels in it, which I mean, like that I'm sold. Also, Matt Damon and Alan Tudyk play two rednecks that are sitting on the back of this truck, and they're both talking about the best way to wipe their ass. And I fucking love that. That's where Cable shows up and he asks him what year it is, and then he kills them both. I think that Alan Tudyk is like, he's obviously like recognizable, but Matt Damon as a redneck, he did it so well that you honestly can't even fucking tell that it was him. Anyway, the fight sequences in the movie, particularly the ones with Deadpool and Cable, where they were so fucking gnarly. They were so good, and also drawing back to that, Deadpool he's a cancer patient, and so when he has his collar on, his mutant genes protect him from dying of goddamn cancer because his whole body is riddled with cancer. And then watching him like suffer and puke and like he's coughing, he's like pale and like he can't regenerate, like he can't heal himself quickly anymore, and he's just like withering away. And then Black Tom Cassidy sticks that fucking, I don't know what it was, if it was a shiv or it was a fork, he sticks it in his hand. I don't remember. I should have written that down. But and then like watching him get beat by the guards and shit, it's like it's so hard to watch. And it's fucked up. But when he loses that collar, and then like again, one of the goofier parts of the fucking dubstep, when he fights Cable and he calls himself Batman, or he said something else about like he's a guy with cancer, give me a bow and arrow and I'd basically be Hawkeye. Another fucking MCU reference. I see what they were doing too. Like they were definitely trying to like bridge this gap in a seamless way that only really like they could only really have Deadpool do it. They couldn't really have another character do it because it wouldn't work as well. To be honest, like I mean, I can't think of another character that could have tied the universes together in like a more self-aware way, because anybody else, they're going to have to make this huge convoluted plot that has to explain why X, Y, and Z weren't in X, Y, and Z, like such as the mutants don't exist in this universe, where you have Captain America and Iron Man, Superman, yada yada. Or Superman, God fucking damn it, Spider-Man, not Superman. Don't come for me, Snyderverse fanboys. But anyway, talking about how to wipe your ass was a beautiful way to shoe in a really high profile celebrity cameo, and the X-Men Origins, the katana callback where he spins the katanas and he cuts the bullet in half, and then he starts spinning the katanas and he just keeps getting shot, and then he gets down and he's like, ow. I love that part. Another big part of this movie that I really fuck with was the inclusion of Juggernaut and doing a comic book act. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. But doing an actual comic book accurate portrayal of the Juggernaut, I thought was really fucking cool and important. I love that Deadpool geeks even when he gets ripped in half, and he's straight shirt cocking it like a toddler. But he gets ripped in half, and he whatever. One of my favorite lines from the movie is he says, "You picked the wrong shithole to fuck, Future Boy." That's a good one. Took your trust and turned it into a glory hole in an airport bathroom in Minneapolis. You know the one. That's what I was talking about earlier. I watched this movie when I got back from Minnesota, and I saw that line, and I was like, "Fuck! I need to incorporate that into the podcast episode somehow." But anyway, getting back to the point, why is it that like in this movie there is like they're able to, or I guess how were they so well able to drop such a shitstorm of events in the beginning, where like the whole movie gets flipped onto its back, and then like they continue it in a way where you almost forget about how fucking traumatic and horrific that opening was, and then it carries into this plot that's like goofy, and it somehow still has like there's still a heart and an underlying like a theme of Deadpool. Like it just feels like Deadpool, and they've done it really well 2 times in a row, and I'm really excited to see where Deadpool and Wolverine goes because of this. So anyway, I'm gonna get to my final thoughts. I won't keep you for much longer, I promise. First and foremost, it's fucking tough to do a good sequel. I want to highlight that, especially when the characters seem to be the only one that actually made any sense in the grand scheme of things. Like the X-Men universe, Wolverine, the New Mutants, the Fantastic Four, none of it made sense except for Deadpool. If you really think about it, a whole lot of them don't make a whole lot of goddamn sense. Like, there's conflicting timelines. There's like no tie-ins to like a greater universe. Like it's all just like it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I love the character. Love the character of Deadpool. Always have. I always will. I especially love the casting choices that were kind of perfect in this movie, like Josh Brolin as Cable. Is it Zazie Beetz as Domino? But anyway, I think that there's so many aspects where this movie just kind of takes flight, such as like quite literally too. The X-Men, you have Pennywise, you have Terry Crews, Brad Pitt as like the Invisible Man, and then you have Peter. Also love Peter. I love that he did the LinkedIn account and they didn't want to hire Domino, and then they hired Peter, and then she's like, dude, what the fuck? So I like that her superhero, her made up superpower is luck. I love some of the, and again, Fire Fist and Domino, I think some people didn't really like Fire Fist very much. I actually really did. I thought he was fucking hilarious, especially that part where he does the rope pull away gag. I thought that was really funny. Anyway, I think that there's moments that are perfect, that just like kind of perfectly encapsulate what Deadpool is, like the misdirection, such as the X-Force, the surprise killing of the main love interest, in a very self-aware way. And I don't think that the movie's without its flaws, but nonetheless, it's a really fucking good continuation of the Deadpool story, and it doesn't lose its heart. It even somehow manages to loop its way back around to being an R-rated family movie, which I think was really, like at its core, Deadpool is really good at doing that in particular, and I hope that it comes across, because at the end of the day, the Deadpool Wolverine movie, as far as I understand, is supposed to be a cosmic road trip movie. And so the reason why I did my final thoughts here is because I want to get into some conspiracy theories about Deadpool and Wolverine, and I want to see how right I am. Maybe I'll revisit this episode and see if I was cooking or not. So anyway, at the end of the movie, we see that Deadpool is trying to right the wrongs of his past. And so, first and foremost, Deadpool dies. So we see him die, and then we find out that, like, Cable rewinds back in time, and he puts the coin from Wade and Vanessa's first date into his pouch, and then he ends up not dying. So it starts this string of events where Yukio and Negasonic Teenage Warhead, they repair the time travel device, which could only slip back one more time, which is exactly how Cable works. And so, like, every time he shows up, the next 15 minutes are the most important, of like, they're integral to the future or whatever. So anyway, they fix the future, and then this is where Wade leaves and he starts to fix everything. So he kills the other Ryan Reynolds who was going to sign on for the Green Lantern. He kills Weapon 11 from X-Men Origins, and then he just does like a cleansing, like a purge of the timeline, saves Vanessa. This is where I think that this is going to tie into the TVA. So the TVA is going to show up because there's variants of Deadpool. Obviously, that's how it works. They branch from whatever. So he's chosen for something. I don't know yet what. But I think the reason why he's on their radar is because of him going back and fixing those certain things. Like, he kills Ryan Reynolds. He kills the other variant of himself. Again, kills a variant of himself, talks to Hugh Jackman for a second, and then he saves somebody's life. And in like the Loki series, you're not allowed to do that. And if you do, they will, if it's not supposed to play out that way, if it breaks from the grand timeline, they send you to the end of time, which sometimes that's where it looks like Wolverine and Deadpool are. There are some parts of the trailer where it looks like that's where they're hanging out, is at the end of time where Loki was with Sylvie and like President Loki, the alligator Loki, or whatever. Anyway, back to my point. I think that's how this is going to end up tying all together. So like these certain things are going to like put him on the TVA's radar. And then now that they've seen him like go through, and he's also killed a variant of himself, like he could be an important asset to like tying everything together. And I'm so fucking excited to get to that. But anyway, so concludes another episode of Visceral Musings, another solo episode. This will be the last solo episode for a little bit, I believe. I will have to double check on that. But as far as I know, I have guests. I have guests that have agreed to be on the show. And so anyway, every single week, I like to have the guest, or sometimes it's just me, like today, it's just me. I like to do a top 3. Can be movies, can be comic books, can be TV shows, can be songs, podcasts, whatever. Today, I picked my top 3 MCU movies. And so, toss-up. There was a toss-up between 1 and 2. And so I picked Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy. Those, I think, are my 2 favorite of the MCU movies. Altogether, like, I mean, there's nothing better than those 2 to me. Like, I mean, like, the Guardians of the Galaxy is fucking perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. It has a great soundtrack. It has a great story. I love the characters in it. There's nothing wrong with it. Also, same for Winter Soldier. Maybe not the greatest soundtrack like the Guardians of the Galaxy has, but a fucking phenomenal story. It's more of like, it's such a grounded political thriller of like a superhero movie, and it's just like, it relies a lot on storytelling and fight choreography, and again, a fucking perfect movie. And then for number 3, I kind of had, so I wrote Thor Ragnarok, but I also I think I could live with saying the Black Panther. And I also love the first Avengers movie. I think that's another fucking great movie. But I think that's my top 3 this week. I don't think I need to give you a reason to give a shit about them. Usually I try to like make a point and then defend it. I don't think I need to defend it. I think if you're sniffing what I'm putting out, or if you're sniffing what I'm dropping, I think that like The Winter Soldier is such a great fucking movie. I think that's kind of indisputable at this point. Obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy as well. Anyway. So concludes, for real, another episode of Visceral Musings. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for checking out this episode. If you haven't done so already, follow this podcast on Instagram at Visceral Musings Pod. Like us on Facebook, or follow us on Facebook, whatever the fuck you do. I don't know what you do over there. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We have a new YouTube channel up. I'm going to post that video of the possessed doll in St. Paul. I also have like the whole back catalog of episodes is available for free over there. My RSS feed is attached to that YouTube channel. So every single week, whenever these episodes drop, they are also dropping over on YouTube, and you can listen to them for free. If you're hearing this on YouTube, then you already fucking know that, and I guess I can shut the fuck up about it. Follow me on Instagram at thatrollerpig. That's my personal account. You'll see all the Q&As. I post the Q&As on my personal Instagram, as well as the what's it called, like the Instagram page for Visceral Musings as well. If you answer those, who knows, maybe your question will make next week's episode whenever I post them. I kind of post them sporadically, but anyway, thank you guys for checking us out. We will see you next Wednesday. Take us back to the ever so long and controversial title music.